Hello, and welcome to the Living My Human Design podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Hoover, and I'm so excited that you're here. I have been on a self-healing journey since my early 20s, and when I discovered human design in January of 2021, I felt like I had finally found what I had spent the last 20 years searching for. I believe that if we live as our authentic selves, having forgiveness, compassion, love, and understanding in our hearts, that ripples out and positively impacts everyone we interact with. That is how we have the biggest positive impact on the world. My purpose is to be a beacon of light in the world, attracting those who have broken down, fallen apart, and are stuck under the weight of life, and help them rise up as their true authentic selves. By sharing my human design experiment through this podcast, I hope to encourage others to begin their own healing journey by experimenting with their own human design. Continue listening and join me on this life-changing experiment of self-discovery. Hello, and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking type and strategy. So if you haven't already done so, you're going to want to go to my website, livingmyhumandesign.com, and pull your free human design chart so that you can determine what your type and strategy are as you continue listening to this podcast. And then having a copy of your human design chart will also help you in future episodes. So again, you can get your chart at livingmyhumandesign.com, and there is a link down below in the show notes. Now, type and strategy really go hand in hand, and type is based on your definition and was created by Ra Uru Hu after the initial download to help him teach human design. Type is how we communicate energetically through our aura and how we're designed to interact with the world for the greatest ease and flow. The aura is the energetic body that surrounds our physical bodies, and it extends out 6 feet around us in every direction. And each type has a different type of aura and a different way that each aura is designed to energetically communicate and dance with the quantum. And each type has a specific strategy. And strategy is the way each human design type is designed to receive communication from the universe and follow the little breadcrumbs that lead to alignment. Strategy is what guides us down our soul's path. There are 5 different types within human design, and those types are manifestors, generators, manifesting generators, projectors, and reflectors. And within these 5 different types, there are 2 categories. We have our energy types, which have a defined motor and a consistent and reliable access to generate and initiate manifesting energy. And then we have our non-energy types, which usually do not have defined motors, which means they have inconsistent access to generate and initiate manifesting energy. And because of this, they're not designed to work long hours. Our energy types are the manifestors, the generators, and the manifesting generators. And our non-energy types are the projectors and the reflectors. This episode, we are going to focus just on reflectors. At the end of the episode, I will give you some journaling prompts, so if you're a reflector, you can start experimenting with your type and strategy to see what rings true for you. There's a separate episode for each of the 5 types, so if you are not a reflector, you can go ahead and find your type podcast within the show. And if you are not a reflector, stick around and learn about this unique type within human design. So reflectors are mirrors, they're beacons of joy, and they are the truth showers. Reflectors have no defined centers and are able to sense or feel the physical, psychic, or emotional health of an environment, community, or group. They're here to judge what's working correctly and what's not. And reflectors are super rare, making up only 1% of the global population, and they're reflecting the karma of the planet. The reflectors have a strong and powerful aura that provokes others to look at their reflection and see where they're at. It's a sampling aura, and it really wants to try everything, and it's super resilient. Reflectors are highly sensitive to energy, but they don't hold on to it. They're here to observe energy, not absorb energy. They need to be a screen, not a sponge, as my mentor Emma Dunwoody says. Reflectors are here to understand the potential of energy, and they almost have a predictive quality about them. They can foresee how energy is going to play out, and they can see the potential of the planet. They really have a deep sense of the pain and suffering that's on the planet, and what happens in the real world can really deeply affect a reflector. It's really important for them to be aware of this and to find strategies that help them to release the pain and disappointment that they feel in times of world crisis. Reflectors love to be surprised and delighted in life. And so joyful people and places are really important for them. This is where they find consistency. Their close group of friends and a home that makes them feel good is really important for a reflector. And they need to be able to move freely within their environment. They amplify energy and bring awareness. Reflectors are like mirrors, reflecting, showing us where we're at, showing us the truth whether we like it or not. They can show us things that we're not aware of yet. And they reflect the health of their community. The healthier the community, then the healthier the reflector. And if a reflector lives in an unhealthy environment for too long, they will feel it in a big way. They can become physically ill and drained of their energy and vitality. And so if a reflector starts feeling this way, it's really important that they move on to a more aligned environment or group of people. Reflectors are in flow, and they're able to move with life and through life. They're full of curiosity and wonder. And what's really cool is they can be someone new wherever they go. Now, the strategy for reflectors is to wait a lunar cycle. They're slower people. They need to take time in deciding on anything. And it's really important that they are not rushed or pressed to make decisions. Their strategy is connected to the 28-day lunar cycle because the moon makes a complete cycle through each of the 64 gates of the human design mandala every 28 days. And so this is a reliable and repeating pattern that gives reflectors a sense of consistency. They can anticipate energetic and decisive days based on their consistency under the lunar cycle. And they'll want to talk with their people during this cycle. And they're not really talking to their people for advice, but to articulate their thoughts and have their truths reflected back to them. And it's very important for reflectors not to rush themselves or rush their decision-making process. They will know suddenly deep within themselves if an offer or opportunity is correct for them. And it's really important that they wait for this clarity. And sometimes that can take more than just one lunar cycle. Now, the reflector's emotional alignment clues, or signature, as we refer to it in human design, is surprise and delight. So when a reflector is feeling surprise and delight, then they know that they're aligned to their design. And some of the conditioning patterns and fear-based responses that are not in aligned with you is called your not self. And we're all exposed to conditioning from a really young age. And conditioning comes from our parents, our families, school, the media, our community, and even advertising. And human design can help us to see where we are more susceptible to conditioning. It shows us the most dominant emotion that we feel when we're out of alignment. And for reflectors, this feeling is disappointment. So if you're a reflector, pay attention to when you are feeling this disappointment and what led up to this feeling of disappointment. And maybe pay attention to these feelings to know that something is off in your alignment to your design, and then lean heavily back into your strategy and your type. And then as we learn more, your authority. So sleep is all about rest and recovery and recharging. And because reflectors have no defined centers within themselves, and they are constantly absorbing and reflecting back, or experiencing and reflecting back other people's energy, it's really important for them to spend some time in their own aura every day so that they can let go of that energy that's not theirs. They should go to bed before they're tired and lay down horizontally to help release any of that energy that they might be holding on to. And it's best for reflectors to sleep in their own aura. And I think that pretty much does it for projectors. So now take a moment, pause the podcast, and grab yourself a piece of paper and a pencil or a notebook or something that you can jot down these journaling prompts on. I'm going to give them to you now verbally, but they'll also be available down in the show notes below. And try to do these first couple of journaling prompts right after listening to your Type and Strategy podcast. So if you can't do the journaling right now, maybe re-listen to the podcast a little bit later with your paper and pen, and then answer these few questions. Our first question is, what ahas did I have after learning about my type and strategy? What really resonated with me about my type and strategy? Where in my life have I already been living aligned with my type? Where in my life have I followed my strategy and things went well? What am I going to do more of now that I know my type and strategy? Awareness is the knowledge and understanding that something is happening or something exists. And it brings your attention to something, and where attention goes, energy flows. And just becoming aware of your type and strategy can start moving you towards alignment in your human design and can start bringing more ease and flow into your life. So throughout the rest of this week, just be aware of your type and strategy in each day. For a reflector, be aware of how your environment feels. Be aware of whether or not you're observing energy, or are you absorbing other people's energy? Are you experiencing surprise and delight, or are you experiencing disappointment? And just be aware of this and things that are aligned with your type and strategy. And at the end of the day, take a few moments to journal on the following questions. How was I aligned with my type today? How did I follow my strategy today? How was my day overall? And then I always like to end my day with gratitude, because I feel if I go to sleep on a positive note, then I wake up in a better mood and the entire day is just a little bit better. So please take a moment and list 5 things that you're grateful for at the end of every day before you go to bed. And I recommend doing this journaling practice all week so that you can really connect with your type and strategy. And throughout the week, I'll be popping into Instagram and Facebook to share how my experiment is currently going. And feel free to share with me how your experiment is going and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll try to answer them in next week's podcast. I'd also love to hear about your wins and how your type and strategy are showing up in your life. So we'll be doing this type and strategy experiment for about a month, and that way we can really connect with our type and strategy And so in the next few episodes, we'll be diving in a little bit deeper into our experiment before we move on to authority. So thank you for being here, and I look forward to connecting with you on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you for listening all the way to the end of the podcast. If you like what you heard here today, please take a moment to leave a review. Don't forget to subscribe so you'll be notified when the next episode is released. If you have any questions, please connect with me on Instagram or Facebook. You can find the links down below in the show notes. And don't forget to grab your free copy of your human design chart from my website, livingmyhumandesign.com, or you can click the link in the show notes below. And if you're interested in an in-depth conversation about your human design chart, you can schedule an unpack with me at my website, livingmyhumandesign.com. Again, that link is in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to catching you on the next podcast. Talk to you soon.